we're going to have a whole series of these, so I think it's 9 or 10. And so again, this one's just introductory, so I'm sort of giving you little teasers of things, and we're going to dive more deeply into a lot of these concepts when we learn in these other webinars. Each site that you create is going to have its own news feed, so people can have little conversations here on your site. So let's see. This new site theme is lovely. So I could say that, and I can click post, and then other people can log in here and make comments and ask and things like that. They can even, you know, copy the link and things like that. So this is where you're going to have just this stream of a conversation around anything on this team site for people to be social in here. Now, we use this word social, and social is all over the place now in SharePoint 2013, but you know, you don't have to think of the word, you don't have to think of it as social. So people like CEOs and CIOs, they tend to not like that word because it seems to, for some reason, it makes them think that if people are being social, that means they're goofing off, that means they're not working. But what we really do is we're collaborating with colleagues here. We're communicating with colleagues, and we're talking about work things, and we're getting our job done more efficiently using these tools that are social tools. So that is it's going to be very helpful for you for that. So that's an example of kind of what all the components are of your site. So again, quick launch over here on the left, top navigation up here, and these things in the middle in the content area are called web parts. We also have some other things that we can do at the top right of each of your SharePoint sites. We can share this. So I want someone else to know about this site who might not necessarily have seen it before. I can go share. I can decide what I want to let people do. Right now, this site is pretty much shared with everybody in the company already, but I can invite more people to be able to have access to this and be able to do things on the site. So by default, it's saying I'm inviting people to edit. That means I'm inviting people to actually edit the content in here. And I can have more options as to what I want to do. So this new share button is all over the place now in SharePoint 2013, and it gives you an easy sort of interface into getting some permissions done without all the crazy complexity that SharePoint's always had around permissions. So you still have the ability to get into permissions like you have always been, you know, previous versions of SharePoint, but the share option is great because it just makes it seem a lot simpler to be able to share things with people. Another new thing you're going to see all over the place is the follow button. So I can go click follow, and it says I'm now following this site. So this is my home page, and I'm following it. That means I have it, well, I'm going to see it in this list of sites that I have, of all the sites that I'm following. So this follow concept is awesome. It's one of my favorite things in SharePoint 2013 because I can have this like list of my favorite sites that follows me around that I can see wherever I go, no matter what computer I'm on. I can see this list of sites. So for example, I can go click sites up here. So this is actually going pulling up some my site information, and each person has their own list of sites they're following. So these are the sites that for every one of these sites, I've gone to the top right corner and I've clicked to follow that site. And that way, everywhere I go, I can still get to those sites, and I don't have to put them all in my favorites in my browser settings or trying to remember where those sites were. They're just going to be in my sites that I'm following, so it's very useful. The sync button is going to be to create a synchronized copy of the documents in a document library. So that means I can take stuff offline. So I can take this library here, I can click sync, and that's going to that's going to pull that whole library down so it's got off. I don't have the app installed right now, so I can have offline use of that information. So that way I can take it offline, work on these documents later, and then when I plug back in, synchronize it back up to SharePoint. And then this edit button that I'm going to see over here is going to let me edit the page itself. Not everyone is going to have the ability to edit this page. See, that pulls it into this edit view and lets me go in here and move my, take my web parts, add and remove them. I can type content in here. welcome to the home page, like that. So I can freeform type. I can insert, you know, pictures, videos, tables, more web parts. I can even embed code in here. And so that's how I'm going to be able to go edit the page. And then I can go click save here. And we're going to get a little bit more into that kind of thing in further of these webinars that we're going to have. All right, so besides edit, we have this another little cool button that we have in 2013 is this little, it's a full screen button. And see, it got rid of all my navigation and my quick launch over there, and it just pulled it up in full screen. This is going to be more useful for maybe printing, things like that. So I can actually click the name of this library here, and I can bring it up to full screen. If I wanted to print this, this would just be nice and pretty and clean, and I could just print this browser screen if I wanted to, and that would be just, and also if I wanted to just be able to see more information, if I have a whole bunch of columns that I wanted to see better, I could do that. All right. Notice that I drilled down into that document library by clicking the name of it. I can also go back home by clicking home here. And again, I can click documents to get there, to get there. And I can also go back home, and then I can click documents over here to get to the same place. So that's just, there are always several different ways to get something accomplished in SharePoint. All right, so besides just this overview of how to get around in your site, you have a couple of other concepts we can look at. Again, I showed you site contents, but we also have an additional thing in site contents to note is that we have a recycle bin that we can go to here. It used to be down on the left side under your quick launch in other versions of SharePoint, but now we have our recycle bin over here, and that's going to give the currently logged in user a list of things that they have deleted that they can go ahead and restore. And you, as the site collection administrator, are also going to be able to go and see a big list of everyone's recycle bins, so that if Joe Bob user calls you up and says, this document of mine is just gone, I don't know what happened to it, it's just SharePoint's broken and they're complaining. You can go in there and look at the recycle bin and say, well, you just deleted it an hour ago, so that's where it is. Let's just recover it. So it makes it real easy for stuff like that. So that's where your recycle bin is. All right, so now we have all these neat social things that we can do, and that's going to be all these tabs here across the top. So I'll go ahead and start digging into these. We do have I think we have a whole, let me make sure, see if we have no, we don't have a whole session about the social stuff in 2013. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about social stuff and spend as much time as I want, so I don't have to save it up for another session. Okay, so here I'm going to go ahead and just start with my name here and click About Me. And that's going to pull up my my.contoso.com, which is a different web app. And this is where I can see all the stuff about me. And I have a profile, and I can edit my profile. So I can go ahead and I can see my activities. You can see, like a few minutes ago when I clicked to follow that page, it shows it, Laura Rogers is now following home. And people can follow each other. You can follow other people. You can follow sites. You can follow documents. And you can, whatever you're following, you can see that information in your activity feed here. So other people that are following me are going to see that I'm now following home. I'll go ahead and edit my profile if I want to. And then this is my profile. Now, some of this information in my profile is going to come from, you know, the most typical place that we get our profile information is from Active Directory. So Active Directory, you know, you're going to have a synchronization schedule where information is going to come from Active Directory maybe every night, maybe every week, and it's going to get pushed from AD over to SharePoint. You also have settings that your SharePoint administrator has set up that can determine which fields are going to be locked down for the end users and which ones they can, maybe like which ones get pushed from AD and which ones they can edit in here. So a lot of these fields, like my title, my phone number, and my boss and stuff like that, that's all pushed from Active Directory, so I can't edit it. And even if I could, it would still get overwritten next time the Active Directory synchronization occurred. But I can edit this little About Me box where I can go in and I can make it bold. I can make, you know, change the colors in here. I can go in here and just type whatever I want. This is my description about myself for other people in the company to ask me stuff. So they'll know what my expertise is. And so we have this whole concept of being able to do this sort of expertise search in SharePoint, because your people are going to be part of your search. So when people do a search using the search box in SharePoint, the people, other people are going to be part of the results that come up. So if I type, you know, company policies, I might not only get a bunch of company policies, but I could get people that are going to have the word policy in their profile. Maybe they're in charge of the company policies, or that's what their expertise is in. So I can have this expertise search. And I can say ask me about, and this is where I can say these are the topics that I want people to ask me about. I can say I can add info path like that, and it will become underlined when I do that, and now that's a new kind of keyword that we can use. So I could just save all and close, or I can just go to contact information here. This is where I can add more information. Fax, who uses faxes, right? And then if I have an assistant, I can type them in here. Let's see, I'm going to say, see if there's anybody with that name. Yeah, there we go. So I'll pick that person as my assistant. And then I can go to even more information, my details. So I have past projects that I've worked on. So let's see, HR onboarding. That was a project I was working on. I have my skills, public speaking is a good skill. I could type in SharePoint, things like that. And schools, let's see, I went to LSU, go Tigers, and birthday. And this is the format that they wanted in here. And then this is going to be my interests. SharePoint is an interest. There we go. All right, and then I have, when I see this little ellipsis, so you're going to see in SharePoint 2013, you're going to see this little ellipsis all over the place, and it just means there's more stuff here that you can click on. So I can see my newsfeed settings. I've signed up to follow certain tags in here, and I also want to get email notifications and follow all these different activities from other people. And then I have language and region settings. All right, so I'm done going through all those settings. And I can click Save All and Close. All right, and then so now you can see my changes in here. All right, so that's all about my profile. Some other things in here I have are my newsfeed. Newsfeed is huge in 2013. You'll notice that I only have a couple of things in here. Now, when I was writing my SharePoint book and I was using this demo environment, I was typing all this information in the social feeds. I was logging in as a bunch of different users and typing stuff as different users, and therefore, you know, this news feed was filled up. It only stays in here for about, I think it's 60 days. So that, you know, my news feed is pretty much empty again. I can show you this idea of kind of what it would look like for other people. So I'll go in here and go open this browser in another window and log in as somebody else. I'm going to log in as Nicola this time. So that that in private browsing is great for logging in as different users in SharePoint. All right, so this is Nicola's newsfeed, and she's following 6 people. She's not following me, so I'm going to go ahead and set her to follow Laura. You notice that it pre-populates that with my name there. So now Nicola's following me. And so let's go see her news feed if it picked up. So it's not going to pick up that post that I posted earlier, or the thing about me following a new site, but from now on it's going to show her stuff that I do in here. So like I can go to my, let's see, I'll go do something else in my browser over here. And I'm going to go, I'm going to mention somebody. So I can do mentions just like in Twitter and on Facebook and things like that. So I go ahead and I mention somebody, and so I'm making this little post in my newsfeed. This is not the same newsfeed that's on the team site. This is a separate newsfeed. Team sites are they're isolated. And then I'm going to go to Nicola over here, and now Nicola sees, since she's following me now, she sees something that I've done. Okay, so as you can see, I'm now following, or Nicola's now following me, and she's also seeing me in her newsfeed. So she's not following that much other stuff, though. Okay, so that's what the news feed is going to look like from different people's points of view. So when she clicks my name, she's going to see my profile, and she's also going to see my activities and also things that we share. So we have a manager in common here, and we're both following these three people here. And then I can also see the org chart down here. She's looking at the org chart where I fall into it. And then she can also see this, she can click more, and she can, if we have Silverlight, we have this fancy Silverlight org chart. I'll go ahead and install that just for fun. And that's actually not new in SharePoint 2013. It's a pretty little org chart that lets you visually see your organization and be able to click and drill through it by each person. It's a pretty fast installation. All right, so that is what it looks like from being logged on as a different person. I'm going to go ahead and click back over here while I'm waiting for that and go back to my news feed. Okay, so I can see all the people I'm following. I can see everyone, and then I can see mentions, which is just going to be when other people mention me in a news feed. All right, and then I have, again, that cool little ellipsis, so it's going to narrow it down. That's showing me all these different activities. So these are the activities that I have done in SharePoint, things that I'm following, things that I've posted, and then likes, which is going to be things that I click the like button on. All right, so SkyDrive. Oh, wait, hold on. So I'm following, just real quick, it's got all this stuff that I'm following in here. It shows me all the people I'm following. It shows me documents I'm following, which is, again, very useful, just like it's useful to be able to follow sites. I can quickly just have these documents. It's kind of like my favorites. And then I can have, again, the sites that I'm following is the same thing as clicking sites up here. And then tags that I'm following means I'm going to get, I can just edit the list of tags that I'm following, and then therefore I'm going to see when people tag things with that word, I'm going to see that when it happens. So I'm going to say another, I'm going to add another one. I'm going to say policies. Let's see if it lets me follow. Yeah. So company policies. All right, save all. All right, so next thing to go to up here, okay, I'm not going to worry about that error there, is SkyDrive. SkyDrive is, it's called SkyDrive Pro now. It says SkyDrive up here in the link, but when you click on it, it says welcome to SkyDrive Pro. So SkyDrive Pro is going to be, gives you the ability to go in here and just save your own documents. It's really just a document library. And so they gave it this new name, and they gave it a pretty little, a new sort of interface here, but it's just, you know, it's just a document library, and it's just a document library in each user's own site collection. So they start off by putting this folder in your library. Therefore, you know, to make it, it's really just a permissions thing. So they want you to be able to see that you have a folder in here that whatever you dump in here is going to be shared with everyone. So this isn't really a concept that's new. They're just helping you out by showing you this and by letting you see that you can have a folder and you can have stuff that's shared with everyone in the folder, and stuff that's not in that folder is not necessarily shared with everyone. So I can go ahead and add stuff. So I can do a new document. Let's see. I'll go browse to find a document in here. Demo documents. There we go. So I'll put a document in here. And then that shows me now if I want to share this document with somebody, that's not in the shared with everyone, so everyone's not automatically going to have permission to it. I can still click the share button, and I can share it with individuals, though. So I could go in and type in Nicola. And all this functionality that I'm showing you right here in this documents, in this library, and my SkyDrive is the same functionality you're going to get in all of your document libraries in SharePoint. So I can share that with Nicola. I can say, what does she need to be able to do? I just want her to be able to see it. And then I click share. And then it says shared with Nicola Young. All right, now Nicola's going to get an email. I don't have email turned on in my demo, my VM environment, but she's going to get an email letting her know that I shared something with her with a link to it. Now this shared with everyone, I can go into this folder, and anything that's in this folder, that means that anyone has access to it. So when I click the share button, it says shared with lots of people. That means pretty much everybody in the company can get to this already. So I don't necessarily need to add people to it. I guess if I wanted to quickly just have them that email sent to them, then I could do that. But all I really have to do is I could just click share. I could just grab that hyperlink to it and just send it to anybody, because I know that everybody already has access. They can get to that document if they want to. Everyone in your organization can access the documents here. So your SkyDrive Pro, you can also sync this just like any other library, and it's going to put a link in your list of your Windows Explorer. So I'm going to go ahead and open this on my own, in my own browser, on my own computer instead of within my IE, so I can show you that interface. Get that pulled up. My enter button just doesn't work for some reason at this point. And go. There we go. All right, I'm logged in as me. I'm going to my SkyDrive. Again, this is the same site. This is just in my own computer. All right. So now SkyDrive. While I'm waiting for that, let's go to the other thing that I was waiting for earlier. Okay, this is the org chart that we installed Silverlight to see. So if we're still logged in as Nicola, Nicola's looking at my profile, and you can drill down to different people in here. You can drill up, and you can drill down and across. So Chris has Ben under him, and these are all Ben's coworkers, and I can drill from coworker to coworker like this. And then I can go down and back up. So that's pretty neat. It's a pretty interactive little org chart. So that's one of those cool little built-in things that's kind of hidden in there. All right, so I'm going to leave this. This is Nicola, again, logged in as Nicola, so I'm going to go ahead and minimize this. And then I can see that, let's see, my other computer still says waiting, so I'm just going to be patient with that one. All right. So that's your SkyDrive. So we went over sites, we went over your newsfeed and SkyDrive. We also have a couple of other things that you're going to see down the left side when you're on your newsfeed. Your About Me, that's just another way to get to your profile. That's the same thing as clicking Laura Rogers and About Me. And your blog. So if you don't have a blog yet, when you click on this blog button, it's actually going to create a blog. A blog is just going to put it as a sub-site as part of your own personal site collection. So now I have my own blog, and it gives, it starts out with just one post in your blog, and you can create posts and do all the managing of your blog right here. It's pretty neat. It's all built in. Okay, and then I have apps. Now apps, again, it's just lists and libraries. So this gives me the ability to go into my own site and do all those things that I was showing you on the home page, like the concept of site contents and how you have libraries and lists that you can create. This is going to be the same exact concept, except it's not calling it site contents, it's calling it apps over here. Not sure why they did that, but it's just a list of all your site contents in your own site. It's your own personal site. Each person gets one, as long as you guys have that turned on in your organization. All right, and you can see that your blog is a sub-site. tasks. Now this tasks thing, and now in 2013, is really, really cool. So I have the ability to not only have my own little personal task list in here, and I can get this roll up. So it shows me which site, like IT projects, and it groups the tasks by site, and it shows me a list of all the tasks in that site that are assigned to me. So everyone in the organization is going to see a roll up. This is rolled up from all over SharePoint. This is rolled up from your entire environment. I'm going to see every single task that's assigned to me throughout SharePoint. This is so cool. This is huge. This has been something that people have requested for a long time. So it's great that we finally have this. It's automatically going to show them here. So this is my task. There's a task list in the IT project site. So if I go navigate back, I'll go navigate back to my RTM site. Let's see, my home page, and I go to my IT projects site. I can see that there's a list of tasks in here, and I can see that you know, there's this. They're the ones that are assigned to me. So, and it's basically the ones that I haven't completed yet. Install SharePoint, install all Windows updates. The ones that I've completed already are not showing in there. All right, so that's going to be a great transition to the concept of tasks in SharePoint. All right, so a task is just a list, so I'll go ahead and go back to this. I'll go ahead and, so I'm looking at a list of tasks. A task is just a list, and this concept of lists in SharePoint, you can liken a list to a spreadsheet. So a list is almost exactly like a spreadsheet. You have a bunch of columns, and then you have a bunch of rows, and you have a bunch of information in those rows, which is the content. So, for example, this task list is, you know, I have columns called due date, assigned to, priority, task status. Those are my columns, just like in a spreadsheet. And then these are all my rows of information. So the name of the task, the due date, and who it's assigned to, priority. And I can even go into this list tab up here and click this quick edit button, and it actually puts it in a spreadsheet view for me. So now I can go through here and quickly edit things. I'm going to change this date real quick, just right here on the screen. And then, so it's just like it's just like a spreadsheet, and I can even take things and copy them down, just like that. So again, a list is just like a spreadsheet. So think of spreadsheets that you might collaborate on in your organization, and think about just, you know, how would you collaborate on a list of tasks? So people might take a spreadsheet full of tasks and email it around, and people might take a look at it or edit something, but then email it back around to everybody. That's not very efficient. Another thing you could do, you could take that spreadsheet and you could upload it to SharePoint, and you could have a whole spreadsheet full of this list of things, tasks, or whatever it happens to be, and you could take turns editing that spreadsheet. That's another way to do it, but a list is a great way to do things in SharePoint, because people can, each person can be working on their own row in here, and it's not going to affect other people. Different people can be adding and deleting and editing things. If you happen to be trying to edit the same exact row at the same time as somebody, it'll give you a little warning and tell you who, you know, your changes are conflicting with, and it'll tell you who they are and whether you wanted to retry your changes. So that's going to be a great way to do that. So your tasks are going to be a really useful type of list that you can have all throughout SharePoint. So we have different types of lists. We have a whole other session that we're going to do where we go over different types of list types. That's going to be session number 6 on 11.5. So that's going to be one where we're going to talk about contact lists and tasks and custom lists and all kinds of things like that. So that's the concept of tasks. Now, another thing about tasks is, so again, they roll up from whatever site you happen to be on. They're all going to roll up to your My Tasks. But you also have this concept that's integrated with your newsfeed. So if I go back to my home page, and I'm going to say I'm logged in as Nicola over here, and Nicola's on the home page, and she's going to make a reply here. Okay, so let's change it to red. All right, so Nicola wants to change that to red. And then, so let's go over to my interface over here and refresh that. So now I can see Nicola's comment. I can like it and things like that. But I can also go in here and say follow up. So when someone makes a comment in any news feed, I can click to follow that up. So let's see what happens. I click follow up. It says added a follow-up task to your task list. Click here to see your task list. Well, I already have my task list pulled up, so I'm just going to flip over to that in the browser and refresh it. And look at that. It added a personal task for me to go ahead and do that thing that I clicked to follow up on. So therefore, I've made that actionable for myself. Pretty neat. So I can just check it off after I do it. All right, and then I can even remove it from the timeline if I want to, and I can delete it, stuff like that. I can go add new tasks to my personal task list. So that's my most common task that I do, the laundry. So I'll put that in here. And then that's only for me. It's just my own personal task. I can go in here and edit, and I can do some more things, like I can add a start date and finish date if I want to. Do that tomorrow. And then it's pretty simple. Not a ton of fields in here to fill out. So I'll go ahead and I can even pick where I want this to show. Do I need that to go into the IT projects list? That's kind of awkward. I don't really need doing the laundry to go in the IT projects list, so I'll just leave that in my own personal list. Okay, so that's a lot of information about tasks. You also have in SharePoint 2013, you have this concept of views, which we have a whole session. No, session number 4 is going to be about views, but a view is really just a different way to look at the same list of information. So a view in this case is I have important and upcoming, which is going to be my important and upcoming tasks, even with things that are upcoming soon and things that are high priority. So it's the same list of tasks that I'm basing this off of. This all the same tasks. I'm just looking at it in a different way. So this one I'm looking at it with a timeline view, and I'm looking at it filtered to only show me things that are high priority and coming up soon. And then I have an active view, which is showing me just active tasks, which means I haven't completed them yet. I'll go ahead and complete this one. That's a pretty old one. And then I have a completed view, which is going to show me all of my completed tasks. And then again, there's that ellipsis again. So here's the ellipsis. And this is where I can see even more stuff. So I can see recently added tasks. So these are a couple of fairly new ones. And then I can even do a filter to only show me a certain set of tasks. So I can say only the IT project tasks, there aren't any in there, or only the personal ones. And it quickly puts a little filter on that list. So if I go to active, and then I go to this little filter and only show IT projects, there it narrows it down. So if I had a ton of projects, I have a ton of tasks showing on here from all kinds of different sites, that would be my way of quickly narrowing it down. And then I can clear my filter. And I can go use this search right here. Let's see, I'll do travel. Travel is a keyword in one of mine. And it narrows it down to this one that has the word travel in it. Pretty quick, pretty cool. All right, so do we have any questions about any of this social stuff in SharePoint? Okay, I'll go back to my home page. So I'm just going to, for the next 10 minutes or so, since you guys don't have any questions, I'm just going to navigate around in this example site and just show you some neat little things in here in SharePoint 2013. So I'm going to click through my different subsites I've created here. I've got a human resources site. All they have so far is a document library with some documents in it. I have an IT site. These IT people are on the ball. They've got a whole bunch of documents put in their library here. And here's an additional thing that I can do in SharePoint is turn on some ratings. So I can say I want to use a rating system, and I don't want to have star ratings. I just want to have likes, so they can just like click to like and unlike things in here. So now I'll go back up to documents, And I can go through here and say that I like stuff. And it puts that little smiley face next to it. And then Nicola over here, she can go to the to that same site and go to documents, and then she can see that I've liked it. She can see that there's a smiley face there, and she can like it too. So now it shows that it's got 2 likes next to it. So that's what the interface looks like for multiple people liking things. All right, and that's another thing. It's social, but it's very helpful. It's helpful to have ratings and likes and things for your information. Here's an IT community site. This concept of community sites is new in SharePoint 2013, and it lets us actually have a true forum environment. So you can have conversations about things, discussions, and you can also have questions and answers. So you can have a true forum where people would be asking questions, people would be answering them, people would get points for answering them, and being really interactive in here. So I can go to my IT community site, and I'm going to go in as, you see Nicola's not in here yet. I'm going to go log in as Nicola over here, and she's going to go ahead and do a discussion. So let's see, what is she going to do a discussion about? New. Let's see. Kicking off. That's more of an announcement. I'm not very creative when it comes to discussions. So what is the discussion about? So where should we create this site? So that's actually a question. So I'm asking a question. And then what's the categories? Just general. Okay, so she's added a discussion here. I'm going to go back in and log in and back to as me. And she's not showing up there yet, but she will. All right, so now I can see Nicola's discussion that she added in here. I can click on it, and then I can reply to it. So this would be good in its own web app. And use tagging to tag policies. Okay, I replied to her discussion. And then, so as you can see, so people are actually going to get points and ratings for participating in here. All right, so I'll go ahead and go back to my home page here. So I not only have the ability to go in here and, you know, start discussions and reply to discussions, I have this concept of categories. So these are my categories, and I can click on a category to see all the, you know, discussions that are going on in that category. So I can go in here and can like my own my own post in here. I can reply to other people's posts. I can go back, and so I can be very interactive in here. And the more activity I have, the more points I get. So you get reputation settings to set up. So I can say whether things can be rated in here, and then this is the point system I've created. So when people create a new post, they get 10 points. They reply to a post, 20 points, 10 points, etc. So your points add up, and you get cute little bars next to your name saying, you know, how many points you have. And then we have levels that you can achieve. So anybody who has any more than 0 is already a level 1. So Nicola just participated in here, and she's already, you know, you saw one little bar next to her name. I'll go ahead and refresh that. I don't see her yet. Okay, I'm not gonna. Well, that's top contributors, so it's got like the top 5 contributors. So maybe she hasn't been doing enough stuff in here. So I can go in here. You know, I can make her do more social stuff. I can like that. I can say, yes, that's. I don't know how many points she needs to gain to become one of the top 5 contributors, but so there she is. She's actually done a couple of things in here already. She's actually already replied to that one. And then you can assign badges to people, like I assigned a badge to myself saying I'm an expert. So what happens is when people reply to things that are questions, you can say that it's the most popular question. So you can say this is going to be whatever the answer is. So, oops, I clicked the wrong home button. Hold on. Go back to my home page here, and I'll go to this one about the new company policies. So I replied to that, and I can go, other people or I can go in here and say that's the best reply. So it moves it up to the top of all the replies, and then it marks it as answered. So therefore, when I'm on my home page, I can go look at answered questions, and now that's considered an answered question. And I can also go to another view, which would be unanswered questions. So that's where I'm going to see questions in here and things that are unanswered. So again, more views, ways to narrow it down. A few more things in here real quick. We have this new project site template. Lets you quickly just build a project site. So lets you track your project. So you'll notice that this this little get started with your site web part is showing on here, and I'm logged in as Nicola. And then when I go to that project site logged in as me, I'm the admin, I actually see more buttons here. So these are all security trimmed. You only see what's relevant to you. So again, this is the project site, and this is going to have this whole timeline of all the tasks around the project and when things are due. And so it's a timeline is this whole new way of looking at tasks in here. So it's pretty neat. So I can go in there and click any particular task, you know, display it in a different way, and I can even remove a task from the timeline if it doesn't need to be there. So obviously, if I want to display something as a bar in here, it's going to make me give it a start date and a due date. So I'm going to go ahead and bump this up to say start date was 8/1, due date was, let's see, 9/25. No, make it overdue. There we go. So now that one's showing as a bar here. So it just looks a little bit different when it has a start date and a due date, and it looks like a bar. I only have one upcoming task. I can go ahead and edit this, so I've got maybe more upcoming tasks. I can move this one around. Obviously, this is all just my test information in here. So my start date for this one would be 9/1, and my due date is, now let's see, start date 9/25, due date 10/25. Okay, so now again, now when I go to my little upcoming, oh, that's upcoming due dates. That's not upcoming start dates. So I'll go ahead and make this one show as an upcoming due date. So this one's going to be start 9/16, due 9/25. Now let's look at my, maybe that's just not refreshed yet. That maybe that one was already completed and I just changed the due date for no reason. All right, so that's what the task concept is, and I even have this whole, so when I click on my timeline, look at all this additional stuff now that I can do. I can show start and finish. I can show time scale. I can uncheck today. See the little marker that shows me where today is. I can take the dates out of here. I can even change the font to make it look a little prettier and change the color. So that's pretty cool. That's some additional stuff that we couldn't do before, you know, in our Gantt view and stuff like that in previous versions of SharePoint. So I just changed the font of that one task. And I can lock the timeline width, display it as a call out, which, see, I selected that one task and chose to display it as a call out. So a lot of ways to go in there and really tweak that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up for today.